Golf Central on YouTube. Brought to you by the Rogue ST Woods and Irons from Callaway.
A brisk, cool day at the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship, ultimately giving way to sunshine, halfway point of this senior major that is the oldest senior event in golf. Hi there, I'm Todd Lewis in Benton Harbor, Michigan side of the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship. We'll talk about that in a moment, but first, the PGA Tour in Fort Worth, Texas. It is the Charles Schwab Challenge, and Scottie Scheffler made a statement on Friday. How about a bogey-free 65, his second consecutive round without a bogey? So Scheffler, who missed the cut last week at the PGA Championship, bouncing back in a big way. He is tied for the lead heading into the weekend. Scheffler proud of his play so far at Fort Worth.
Yeah, I think I needed to put up a good score with the wind being real low and the greens being not crazy firm. It was definitely going to be a low-scoring day, and I was glad to keep putting myself in positions that I did.
What was working so well for you today?
I think I drove really well. I hit a ton of fairways, and if I missed a fairway, I didn't miss it by more than a yard, I think, pretty much the whole day. So that out here on this golf course is very important. I mean, I may not have hit way more fairways than I did yesterday, but today I drove the ball 10 times better than I did yesterday.
2 rounds in, no bogeys so far. How much confidence do you take in that stat, which is pretty hard to accomplish around here?
Yeah, I mean, I love that stat. It's a lot of fun, and today it was pretty. I kept the stress off myself for the most part. My lag putting was really good, and really the only long par putt I made was on number 7, and outside of that, I really didn't put much stress on myself, which is good. A 4-day event, having a day where I can kind of take the stress off, especially when the conditions are going to be so hard the next 2 days, is important.
You talked earlier this week with us that obviously your record here wasn't great, but that your iron play is better than it was in the past. Do you feel like that's kind of helped you this week and why you're playing so well?
Yeah, for sure. I think I have a lot more confidence than I did the last few years going into this event, and I've made some improvements to my game with my irons and wedges, and the first 2 days here I've really seen it pay off, which is nice.
There's pretty good winds forecasted for the weekend. What do you expect to see the next 2 days out here?
I think it's going to be challenging. The greens we're getting, actually for Colonial, having bent grass, they're pretty firm for the summertime here. And with the way the winds are going to blow, it's going to be a very challenging day. These fairways aren't wide, and when it starts blowing like that, it can create, some big gusts and awkward angles around this place. So it's going to be a challenging weekend for sure.
Here is a look at the leaderboard at the Charles Schwab Challenge at the halfway point. There you see Scottie Scheffler at 9 under par, tied with Scott Stallings, a veteran, a 12-year veteran of the PGA Tour. Interestingly about Scott, he Monday was in the Dallas area for final qualifying for the U.S. Open. He's from Worcester, Mass. He really wanted to play in Boston at the U.S. Open. He qualified for the U.S. Open. That was a big goal of his for 2022, so he is playing with a bit of relief and freedom in Fort Worth. Beau Hossler, just like Scottie Scheffler, a Texas Longhorn. He trying to win for the very first time on the PGA Tour. Let's hear from Stallings and Hossler in regards to their position heading into the weekend.
Clearly, you played Colonial quite a few times. This is your best round here, but you've had some struggles here, missed some cuts. What do you think was different other than just the weather today?
Man, it's keeping the ball in front of you, and you get out of position. Not trying to do too much with it. Understand the value of par when you're out of position, but also understanding their correct sides to miss. Just depending on pin locations, and the short side's not always the worst place. The worst thing is where you want to get pitching back and over. Like 13 yesterday, I missed long and right, which seemed like the right place, but then you're chipping on a downslope straight downwind. The best spot to miss was in the left bunker. So it's just kind of like in looking from tee to green, that's the short side. But then you're hitting a bunker shot straight into the wind uphill. Danny Lee hit it in the bunker, which looked like a way worse shot than mine. Hit a bunker shot to a foot. I felt like I hit a nice pitch, and I had 25 feet for par. So just kind of stuff like that.
Fact is you got to always just take what the course gives you, and depending on the conditions, some days that's a lot and some days that's a little, right? And today was a lot. But with that said, I wasn't trying to do anything overly aggressive. I was just kind of taking what the course gave me, put the ball in play a fair amount, got some really good looks, and made a few putts. I mean, it's kind of all you can do.
All right, so those are the players that played well. One guy that didn't play as well as he wanted, Justin Thomas, of course, coming off winning the PGA Championship in Tulsa, Oklahoma. A triple bogey on Friday kind of spoiled his opportunity to play the weekend, and Thomas misses the cut. And so he had the longest active made cut streak on the PGA Tour at 21, so that is over. Billy Horschel, who was second on that list, also missed the cut, so Jon Rahm is now the closest to catch Tiger Woods' record of 142 consecutive cuts made on the PGA Tour. Rahm with 11 consecutive tournaments making the cut. All right, as I mentioned, the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship in Benton Harbor, Michigan. Tough conditions today, but not tough enough for Scott McCarron and Stephen Ames, both shooting a 66, and they lead right now by 2 shots over Brian Gay, Mike Weir, and Stephen Alker. McCarron coming off ankle surgery last summer, playing well, and Ames looking to win his very first senior major championship. As I mentioned, conditions were difficult, and our George Savarikas has a wrap on the first page of the leaderboard.
Todd, what a difference a week makes for these PGA of America championships. If you flash back to last week in Tulsa, we were dealing with a heat wave to kick things off for the PGA Championship at Southern Hills. Different narrative here at the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship. Chilly, wet, windy first couple days. So if you're part of that morning wave that wrapped up early this afternoon at Harbor Shores, you were happy to just post and watch the guys in the late afternoon deal with the brunt of the weather.
Well, I hit the ball a little bit closer today, and I made some putts. Yesterday, you know, I hit the ball pretty well yesterday as well. I just wasn't making the putts that I made today, and that was the difference. It definitely played a lot longer today. The course being a little more wet, and being colder made it a lot tougher as well. So I'm very happy. I'm just happy to be playing golf again after surgery on my left ankle, and starting to play some good golf over the last couple weeks, and great being here. It's a course I really enjoy. I've played well here the last couple times, and hopefully we'll have a good weekend as well.
Putting has been a bit of an issue. The 6 events that I've played, I've had opportunities, but I couldn't make the putts to close things out. So I've been working a little bit on that mentally more than the stroke itself. So those things I've put in place this week that I've been working on, and it's coming out, which is nice. Yeah, it's freed me up quite a bit.
Well, it's nice to go below 70 on a day like this, because it's not easy. The course played a lot longer, I thought, than yesterday. Like Steven said, the par 5s were, well, I could only get to maybe 1 or 2 yesterday, but even today, most of them were not reachable. And even some of the par 4s and par 3s just play longer because the colder weather and the different wind made a difference too. I think the course may play a little bit harder with this wind than what we had yesterday.
Yeah, it was a day of just kind of hanging in there. Some totally different golf course, south wind to north wind and cold. The ball, obviously I talked about that shot on 15, how the ball wasn't traveling today as far. So you had to adjust for that. And yeah, it was just tough. The guys who shot some good numbers today, Ames and Scottie McCarron, that's really good scoring this morning, because it played tough out there.
While we're bundling up today, things expected to be a lot nicer this weekend. Temps in the low 70s on Saturday, mid-80s on Sunday. So with the improved weather conditions, anticipate a bit of a shootout these final 36 holes.
Yeah, according to that forecast, windy conditions, 20-mile-per-hour sustained winds, gusts even higher, so it could be an interesting final day on Sunday. And there you see our schedule for Saturday on Golf Channel. We begin on the DP World Tour, then Billy Kratzer and I for Golf Central pregame, then the KitchenAid Senior PGA Championship. We go to the PGA Tour in Fort Worth at Colonial, LPGA Tour in Las Vegas, back here for a wrap on Golf Central in Michigan. I'm Todd Lewis. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on Saturday.